Hello, good evening, good evening, good evening. We've had an awesome Saturday so far. So today is day 15 of our Do Over January, with the woman called you Do Over January. And it's 31 days to declutter and deconstruct the mind to gain clarity. I mean, it's amazing. It's like this January 2022 is flying. Already it's day 15. And usually January always seems very long. And here we are, day 15. 14 days under the hat already. And I'm just so grateful that I've been able to commit to doing this, though it hasn't been easy. But it's something that I just need to offload, ASAP before we go on to other things that we have planned for the Woman Called You Powerhouse series for this year. So today is day 15, and for the last fortnight, we've been talking about different aspects of decluttering the mind. We've done the brain dumping technique, we've done the solution numbering technique, we've done quite a number of techniques, and I hope for those of you who watch this or watch this after on the One Called You platform, you would have been putting some of the things I've mentioned into practice. Like I always say as a preamble before I go into the business for the evening, the Woman Called You is a platform where we simply inspire change through personal growth. I always reiterate that you can't give what you don't have. So it's best do over yourself. You be the best you can be before you can choose to decide to impact others. So having said that, today we are examining a topic that I was so excited about when I was mentioning it yesterday, and that's conquering the enemy that lies between your two ears. I just want to quickly put up the illustration that I put on the. I'm sure you'll still be able to hear me though. Let me just quickly put it up before I come back. You can see there's a clip art of the left and the right ear, and right in the center is this bomb that has already been, ignited, and it's just waiting to detonate. You can see cross cross bones and the skull. Yes. And why I chose to be very graphic is because today's business is a serious business. You know, in order for us to have peace of mind, to declutter our mind, to have clarity, we've talked about external forces. We've talked about no needs to choose. And there's something I want to bring back, that look, one of the greatest enemies we fight in wanting to have our peace of mind, wanting to have the best life we seek, lives between our two ears, that lies between the head. The brain is in the head. It's assumed that the mind and body, the mind is a constituent resident in the brain that lies between your own two ears. If we want to have peace of mind, one of the greatest enemies we should conquer, whether we like it or not, the enemy within has a down slowly from inside. Your mind is taking things that happened years ago. You think you may have forgotten something, and it's triggered to, speak to you. That voice that tries to crush your spirit. And so many of us, we just give in to that enemy. It's like waving the white flag, just consume me. And that's why it seems as if every time we end up taking two steps back, it's just simply because, and this is not just the only reason, but remember that I'm talking about, it has nothing to do with the physical. It's more of mental, emotional, be whole, for the mind to be whole. But that will be much later. We still have like 16 more days to go. This is just 15 days. So today we're talking about that enemy between your ears. That enemy that if you don't conquer, it will rush into your whole being. And before you know it, when you are worn out, the next thing that happens to you is your mental space is threatened. Depression sets in. And when depression sets in, you can no longer perform at the optimum that you have as a human being. So today might make some sense to you. You know, come to think of it, every human being has goals. 2022 has just started. We have resolutions, we've achieved this year. You say things like event, maybe I even want to fly to the moon. We have the things that likely stop us. I have money. I don't have Wow, sorry about that. This internet connectivity will not even allow somebody to be great. And I don't know at what point it went off because, like I said, I'm broadcasting from an OBS ish studio. So, anyway, hopefully, like I said, this is the new year. We all have come out with all kinds of, awesome goals that we want to achieve. I just went through some, like, even as fantastic as wanting to fly to the moon. It's all okay. You know, you're within rights to fly to the moon if you so choose. But the thing is, there's so many of us think that most of the things that we plan to do, the things that will restrict us are maybe just money. Maybe I don't have enough people to help me. I don't have, I don't think I have the right opportunity or I found the right opportunity. These are the things holding me back. But truth be told, those are not really the things holding you back. Haven't you seen people that have money and have plans? But you wonder, I mean, why the delay? Why the procrastination? You see people who have made up their mind, this is what they want to do, but it's like all of a sudden they kind of have cold feet. You even see some people planning that they want to get married, and the marriage ceremony is drawing close, and it's like they all of a sudden develop cold feet and all that. It's not really the externals that are causing you to have the second thoughts. Usually, what happens is it's your mind that begins to play games on you. One of the easiest things that will come up when you've had this plan, you've had this well laid out plan, especially if you've had or you've made well laid out plans for 2022. Be very, very alert that self-doubt does not creep in. Self-doubt is one of the most terrible things that can take hold of your mind. Remember, we're talking about the enemy between your ears. It's not the enemy from outside. It's not somebody speaking into your ears. It's the one that exists right within you. So one of the greatest, weapon it engages against your mind is self-doubt. And self-doubt usually come up when you don't even expect it at all. It's like all of a sudden, you had this grandiose plan, everything well laid out. Then you start asking yourself questions like, what am I doing this for? Will it be worth it? Is it really worth it? Or why? Why? When you see yourself beginning to ask yourself this kind of questions, then understand that the war has started in your head. You might not be aware of it, but the war has started. And I tell you, when this war starts, if you're not equipped to fight this battle, I mean, this is a battle that you have to fight. It's not like when we're talking about the good or bad battle, that usually it's external factors, that bring about these battles. This particular battle is within you. When you begin to say, why? Should I? Am I sure? The battle has started raging. The enemy of self-doubt has started raising its ugly head. And if you're not prepared for this battle, you will surely lose it. And when do you know you've lost the battle? When you just KIV your plans, you keep them in view. And when you KIV them, oftentimes you never ever return to doing them. One of the greatest things you need to understand is, my dear woman, whoever is watching, you must choose to see yourself as a warrior. A warrior who is constantly in battle with herself or himself. You know the mistake most people do? We like to wax spiritual for everything. Have you not heard that saying when they say, when you want to see your enemy, look in the mirror? Sometime in February 2021, yes, the woman called you. We had this series on the woman in the mirror. If you can really truly look at yourself in the mirror and say, hey, pat yourself on the back and say, you've done well, I've done well. And before you do that, there are certain levels that you'll have transcended. And one of it is this. Being able to see that you are in constant battle with yourself and not those external factors. Being able to realize that you are the person who is in control of your life. Remember, there's the assumption that there's a higher power over you. There's always that assumption. Remember a couple of days ago when I talked about the 12 steps, there must always be a higher power above you that controls your life. So when we're talking about you controlling your life, we're not saying it's a self-indulgent thing. No, it is you with the tools you have. With after all, God said He has given to us what pertains to life and godliness. So you're not going to hand over control to your life if you're a woman to your husband, if you're a husband to your wife. No, at the end of the day, you take responsibility for that life. So you need to realize that you're in control of your life. It is not Buhari's economy that is controlling your life. It is not your family that is controlling your life. It is not your boss. It is not your husband. Because most times we hand over power to these things. Remember yesterday when I was talking about bad battles, that when you keep on over and again fight bad battles, you are handing over the power of your very existence to the next person. So you need to realize that it is not the Buhari economy. It is not your husband. It is not anything that is in control of your life. You are in control of your life. After all, for we Christians, you are told that you will one day stand before God and give accounts. So it's one simple thing when you are battling that enemy between your ears. The simplest thing you can understand is that this is your life. Own it. You know when I say things like this, I mean, in the next couple of weeks, by the grace of God, I'll be 52. You would assume that I know to an extent what I'm saying without giving full disclosure and all of that. So I'm urging a woman today, one of the ways you can declutter your mind in this season is to be alert to the enemy that lurks between your ears. I'm sure some of you watching this, you know this guy, Robert Greene, the 48 Laws of Power, But I think it wasn't in that 48 Laws of Power book he said something, I think it was his strategies. I think that 33 strategies of war, I think. Yes. When he said, when something goes wrong, look deep into yourself. I tell you I'm trying to get to this, and now he said something about when something goes wrong, look deep into yourself, not in an emotional way. Yes. To blame or indulge your feelings of guilt, but you must look into yourself to know. Yes, I get it now. You must look into yourself, not in an indulgent way, not in an emotional way, not in a guilty way, but to make sure your next campaign will be a firmer step to getting your vision. And that is the thing. When things go wrong, are you blaming the next person? Why not retreat and begin to think and imagine where you went wrong? It is not playing the blame game. You're not blaming yourself. Remember I said you must be a warrior. Think like a warrior. And Robert Greene said it. Don't pity yourself. Don't host a pity party. Remember what I said a couple of days ago when I said a woman who continuously and is committed to hosting a pity party for the woman she once was can never attain clarity of mind. So as a warrior, you don't blame yourself. Warriors don't blame themselves. They stand up, they dust themselves, they re-strategize. If you fail, don't get emotional, don't get guilty, don't have feelings of inferiority complex. All you need to know is that, look, you're going to fight another day. Then you go back, you begin to find out, what did I do wrong? Where did I go wrong? Do you know why? Because you must, like Robert Greene said, you must engage and prepare for the next campaign, because your vision, you must get a step closer to that your vision, whether you like it or not. And when you are a warrior, the next thing you need to understand is to know yourself. There's this thing they call the 11th commandment. They say, know thyself, know because. And that's the thing. You know why? It's as if every time our minds are playing our minds keep playing games on us is because so many of us don't know ourselves. We don't know ourselves. We don't know our tipping points. We don't know what happens that you say, I know, thankfully. Yeah, it's back now, I think. Yeah, I think it's back now. You know, so many of us, they say, know thyself, no, because so many of us don't know ourselves. And we're just, the Bible says, moving between two opinions, just up and down. If you want to battle that enemy between your ears, you must know what makes you angry, what makes you sad, what makes you fearful. Like today, during the day, like in a prayer session with some sisters, and I just prayed about the root of fear. There's this lady I follow online, Lana Valsa. Today she talked about the root of fear. And she said we should pray instead for the root of faith. And when you are a warrior campaigning against that enemy between your ears, you must know yourself. If you know that every time you make a plan, you are hit by fear, then you must understand that your tipping point is fear. And you begin to find ways and means to address your fear. You must find out what makes you angry and make sure you are not pushed to the point where you are angry. That's why you see some people, they know that anger is their issue. So once it starts, when something begins to, it's like a cauldron, it begins to boil, they simply walk away. They're not running away from the fight. They know that anger is their tipping point and they avoid it. What makes you sad? Seeing people treated anyhow? What makes you fearful? How do you make decisions? Are you somebody who just hits the nail on the head, or will you constantly procrastinate? What is important to you? You see, if you want to win your inner battles, you must know who you are. The sad thing is that for so many of us, people define who we are and we believe their lies. You see, I said it starts from within. If you wake up in the morning and understand that I'm fearfully and wonderfully made, nobody can play mind games with you. When you set out, even the enemy in your mind, just visualize it. The enemy in your mind will know that this woman, you don't play with her today. You don't play with her today. I think by the 17th, that's the day after tomorrow, yes. I would, for those of you who can send me your emails, because I think I'll put it on the woman called you page. For this, knowing yourself, there are some list of 20 questions. I think the day after tomorrow, I'll quickly put them on the screen as I'm talking. Some 20 questions that can help you know who you are. It's more like a questionnaire, but you can do it. I don't need to see your answers. Do it privately. It will help you with self-awareness as you journey towards clarity. So after you know yourself, the next thing you should know, and that's the truth, one of the greatest causes of conflict for most of us is that we have very high expectations. I'm not saying you shouldn't have faith. I'm not saying you shouldn't have hope. But you see, when it comes to practical things, when it comes to your spouse, it comes to family members, just take them as they are. Stop having high expectations, because that is what ultimately kills our spirit. Because like I said, you don't have control over your spouse. You don't have control over your family members. You don't have control over those people in church. You don't have control over your business partners. So when you have high expectations of people, When they disappoint you, you are shattered. I'm telling you, we can't control how people will act. And when you constantly have high expectations of people, God forbid something happens, you'll be disappointed. So, like I said, as a warrior, yes, you can hope because that is our faith. But expectations, that's why the Bible says the expectations of the righteous shall not be cut short. It is your expectations. Don't have expectations concerning the next person, because then you are setting up yourself. But you see, when you just take people for who they are, stop expecting that, oh, somebody will always be there for you. Stop expecting that you will always make money. Stop expecting. You can trust, and that is faith. Trust is faith. But expecting things, being expectant, sometimes people just do it in a vacuum. You just wake up in the morning and you expect that a friend will be loyal when you have not funded that friendship. You can't wake up in the morning and expect you will stay healthy when you you make unhealthy choices on a daily basis. You can't expect your family will always be there with you, there for you, when you don't care for them. You don't show love. You can't expect that friend will always be there for you when that friend is the only one who always makes the move, always calls you, always, prods you on. But you, no, 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 no. And you would always have an excuse. You can't expect you will always have money, make money, when you're not putting in the work and you're not putting in the time. So that is what I mean when I'm talking about expectations. So if you can deal with that, and the way you would deal with the enemy in that case is you making the choice, committing to making the right choices, you will have peace of mind. Okay, I want my friends to always be there for me. Then I will start looking out for my friends as well. I want to stay healthy. I will start eating the right food, exercising, doing, because of our spirituality. So many of us just mask everything in spirituality. Oh God, keep unfriendly friends away from me. Oh God, keep me healthy. Are you a friendly friend? You see, this is the battle. It is only you that knows that you are a friendly friend or an unfriendly friend. You want your family to always be with you? You do the right thing. I don't want to take too much time on this particular thing because we already know what is right and what is wrong. And in battling the enemy between your ears, one thing you have to understand is you are not Miss Perfect. You are not Miss Perfect, far from it. I always tell people, it's just like when I talk about my marriage, I say we're two imperfect. How do I always say it? We say we're imperfectly perfect. And when you accept that you are not perfect, you will not constantly beat up yourself for making mistakes. That is what self-doubt, that's major enemy, that major weapon of the enemy between your ears. You will not constantly beat yourself up for making mistakes. We forget that only God is sovereign, and that's the truth. And that's why we put unnecessary pressure on ourselves. Life happens. Life is unpredictable. Sometimes it makes no sense and things will happen anyway. But you see, when you try to be perfect, my very, very good friend will say, don't come to God wearing Spanx. And yes, you can't come to God wearing Spanx just as much as you can't always come before people wearing Spanx. No matter how a woman will wear body magic from morning till night, there's a time it will come out. You will lose that, you will remove that body magic. You will remove that waist cincher. And at that point, you become vulnerable. You see, if you embrace your vulnerability accepting you are not perfect. That enemy in your head will go now. But you see, when you keep on putting up this false, this facade for people and all of that, you are putting pressure on yourself. Before you know it, your mental state is threatened. And when this happens, I tell you, you can't be at peace. Nothing is good enough. This cloth will pass. You want to buy it. This shoe comes out. You want it. This hair comes out. You want it. Why? Because you have seen yourself as perfect and you will keep struggling to be perfect. That is a battle on its own. And when this happens, my sister, you can't enjoy life to its fullness. You can't, like me, decide, every Tuesday I will enter a place, I will eat amala. And that is that. You will constantly be, on show. It's like a showpiece. You constantly be on show. You will live life in a way that you will forget that just being who you are is beauty enough. If you understand what God said when he says we are wonderfully and fearfully made, you will know that you don't have to be perfect to be wonderful. You will know that you don't have to be all that to be wonderful. You will have people who will love you for who you are. You see, when you are constantly in this battle with that enemy between your ears, is because you have bought the lie of people who have said to you, you are the beginning and the end. Hey, she who must be obeyed and she who must be feared. She who is perfect. So I tell you, I want to tell somebody today, if that's how you've been thinking and you are honest with yourself, when you go home in the night and your head is on the pillow, you just heave a sigh of relief that, finally you have your moment of privacy, because what you have been doing from 8 o'clock in the morning till 7 p.m. was playing out a role as if you are acting a film. You are constantly seeing your life as if you're on a stage. And people have to give you accolades. Today, I'm telling you, I'm advising a woman. That thing is as a result of the battle in your head. That thing that is saying, go the extra length to prove to people that you are all that you are perfect. You don't need it. Today, you must promote that tunnel vision goggles, because it's tunnel vision. You can't be yourself. You can't just relax, let it all hang out. I was going to say praise God. Anyway, still praise God. Like I said, I'll try not to be preachy because I know different people are watching this. And one thing you must also do to avoid that enemy between your ears conquering you, avoid burnout. I said it when I was talking about brain dumping. I said it when I was talking about why you need to declutter your mind. That first thing. Stop overreaching, stop overcommitting. I know there was a time I used to say, not everybody can like me because I'm not ice cream. And somebody told me, not everybody likes ice cream. So I don't imagine what I can say now that everybody seems to like. But you see, you are not that thing. You are not that thing. The best way you can take control of that enemy in your head, to shatter it completely, is to always keep in mind, my sister, that you are worth more when you are in full strength. And the only way you can be in full strength is by resting. I'm telling you, I have a friend. If you like, let everything be falling around everything. 9 o'clock, she shuts down. I'm trying to adopt that. 9 o'clock, she shuts down. And that's that. She shuts down. She can wake up by 11 or 12, anything, but that time. Because she understands that if she's not taking that rest, she will not be able to perform at optimum capacity. So today I'm saying to a woman, in order to battle that enemy, in order to be clear, before you can battle that enemy in your mind has to be sharp. God says he has given to us not a spirit of fear, but power, love, and a sound mind. If a sound mind was not important to God, he would not have made it a component of that a word of his. So you must keep in mind that you can only strategize how to beat all the battles rearing in your head when you have your strength, when you are rested. I'm telling you. Some people will tell you, I can get off on 2 hours sleep. My dear, you can win a battle on 2 hours sleep, but you will not win the war. If you read all this, what's this guy's their name? Zoo, The Art of War. He talks a lot about this kind of a thing. He tells you, winning the battle is not the thing. Win the war. And to win the war, you have to have your wits together. You must have your wits together. One other thing you need to do, even the Bible tells us that, or we know not to question God and be saying things like, why? When you are faced with the battle between your ears, and that's the battle of the mind, one of the things you need to resist it with all you have, my sisters, is to understand not to over question yourself. One thing I always say to people is, when you keep on doing the same thing and expect different results, and it's not as if it's my saying, it didn't originate from me, but it's something I've come to understand, it's tantamount to insanity, really. Because if you're doing the same thing that is counterproductive to your mental states, you are not resting. You're constantly questioning yourself. You're putting yourself on a high pedestal. You're overreaching, overcommitting. You want everybody to like you and everything because your mind is playing games on you. That if you don't say yes, they will not like you. I remember somebody taught me to begin to say yes. No. Taught me how to say no. Because that thing is a mind thing. If I say no, they will not like me. Or they would just look at me somehow. Or they will think I'm just being mean. They will think I'm just... And for all you know, nobody's thinking that way. But because you have preconditioned your mind, you start experiencing self-sabotage. Self-sabotage. And what do I mean by self-sabotage? When you set up your own self for failure, you set up your own self to be conquered by your mind and ultimately people, So like I said, you must always ask yourself, what am I doing this for? Like now I'm doing this broadcast. Even if there's nobody on or somebody is on, I just have the satisfaction that this is what I've always wanted to do in the last couple of weeks, and I'm doing it. I'm doing it because it gives me satisfaction. But most people, if nobody is watching, social media likes, social media counts, this and that. You will not be monetized. That is not the primary reason. Or you are selling something, and instead of you to, better yourself, learn avenues for how you for your sales, platforms you can sell, new sales strategies and all of that. You are bothered. Nobody has bought my product. Nobody has done this. Nobody has done that. You're setting up yourself for failure. Because one thing you understand is that once you have one negative thought about nobody this, or nobody is reading this, nobody is doing that. Once you have one negative thought, it's like setting in motion a chain reaction. Setting in motion a chain reaction. I'm telling you. So there's one thing. If you're somebody, every time you're questioning yourself, it does not help matters. You're only cluttering your brain, cluttering your mind. And maybe you have to consider that technique I taught a couple of weeks ago, brain dumping. Because if you have all these questions, then you need to backtrack and go and watch that brain dumping episode and see how to brain dump. Because if you leave all these things in your head, when you sleep at night, that enemy will be playing calypso in your head. I'm telling you. And you can't afford this battle. You can't afford this kind of war. I'm telling you, it's a war you will never win if you're constantly questioning yourself. And after constantly questioning yourself, the flip side of that is believing in yourself. Believe in yourself. You know, I'm not saying, because the question now is somebody will say, how do I believe in myself? I'm not saying the believe in yourself of the kind of aspire to perspire kind of. That's absolutely not what I'm saying. You know, it's not what I'm saying. Because even if you keep on affirming, I'm the best, I'm the best, I'm the best, without the actionable things to make you the best, you're just singing a song that's aspire to perspire. You can't keep on saying, oh, I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. Then you hear one sound and you're scuttling. That is aspire to perspire, you know. And if you keep on saying, I'm the best, and you're not doing something about it, you're ultimately lying to yourself. And when you lie to yourself, it will not help that battle. It will not help that battle. You need to go through the process. My friend will always talk about the process. You say you want to be better in your job, you want to be better in your business, you want to be better at parenting, you want to be better. What do? You must practice, you will see results, and you will now begin to believe in your abilities. So when you believe in yourself, it's not in a vacuum. What you are doing is you are believing in your abilities because you have put in the work. You have put in the practice. You are beginning to see results. If you don't put in the work, no matter how much you want to wear a size 8 dress, you will only be dreaming. If you don't put in the work by developing your skills, whether you believe it from today till tomorrow, remember, God is not a magician. So you see, to believe in yourself, in order to conquer that enemy in your mind, you must put in the work. That's where it starts. And when you're putting in the work, I'm begging us, because I'm talking to myself. You see all these get rich quick schemes we see on social media. Run from them. Run from them. We're talking about the battle between our ears. So many of us, we love fake promises. And what these fake promises do, they distract us from reality, and that's the truth. You must understand that even with decluttering your mind in order to gain clarity, there's no quick fix to it. It cannot, forget all these things I'm saying in 31 days. It might not even happen for you for 31 days. But what will happen is that you will begin the process. And that's key. Because there's no such thing as an overnight success. And that's the truth. So doing this, I'm not coming to promise you and say, oh, by the end of 31 days. No. That's why I said it is not declarations. It is not preaching. I'm not giving you any promissory notes. I'm saying go back, begin to watch the episodes, begin to work on them, the techniques there. That's why I said I'm always talking about pen and paper. Write it out, practice. Begin to do it one step at a time. Every week, they always remind us of John Locke, the philosopher, who said anything can be learned at any age, as long as you learn it in steps. So please, don't get, don't get sold. Don't let anybody sell you fake promises. It will distract you from reality. And when you're distracted from reality, when you're removed from reality, when you live in the fantasy world, your mental space is under threat. Your mind is under threat. Your mind is under threat. One other thing you need to do as you battle the enemy between your ears, stop making assumptions. We make a lot of assumptions. We make conclusions based on assumptions without having full disclosure most of the time. It's happening. We see it on social media. Everybody has, their say, so to speak. Conventional wisdom flying up and down. That by the time you look closely, you will see that most of the things that are being said They're either lies or they're subjective, the person's opinion. The ethic people will say in Tafumade, the way as I like it is how I would say those things. So personally, also, you need to commit to stop making assumptions. Before you opine on anything, be sure of the facts. Take your time. The 1 hour you will use to verify saves you a lot of headache. You can imagine how bad you will feel, how ashamed you will feel when you realize that your assumptions were wrong. And when you find out your assumptions are wrong, inner conflict can generate inside you, and you now start feeling bad. You start feeling bad. And when you start feeling bad, God help you, it doesn't grow worse than that. And before you know it, you're feeling depressed. You are withdrawing from people. Is that not a threat to the mental health? Is that not a threat to mental space? So please, one of the ways you will battle that is thing, whenever the enemy comes between your ears, come and say, Nene, say it like this. Say it like this. Say, avoid it. I tell you, there is no human being on earth that cannot make an assumption, even a false one. The only thing that happens is most people have developed self-control not to say it as it is without verification, without verifying. So that is what we need to do if we want to, successfully battle this enemy between our ears. And one thing I have to say also to us, really, remember, I talked about Robert Greene initially when he said, even if you have an issue, don't become self-indulgent, don't feel bad, don't beat yourself up and all of that. Go and re-strategize to come out stronger. He's the one who also said this. He said, what does not move is dead. So you see, that mental toughness we need to battle that enemy, it comes from continuously moving forward. We're not going to build an altar at the place of our failure. No. The more we face adversity, even the Bible says it. It says when you fall, you rise. How many times? Almost 7. I mean, when I'm sure some people have not fallen up to 4 times. So that enemy in your head will tell you, don't go. You can't do it. Haven't you seen? You've tried it before. But I tell us, and I'm telling a woman today, mental toughness must be created. We must push forward, plowing forward. Even the Bible tells you, it said anyone that puts their hand to the plow and look back, is better that this thing is put down around their neck and thrown into water. So you see, the adversity we face, it's not supposed to stop us. We must keep trying. If you hear about most of these inventors, they will tell you about the inventors. They had like how many tries before they got it right. And some of them will say the 100 tries they had 99 ways that they shouldn't do it. So that's akin to saying they were seeing the cup as half full and not half empty. So as long as there is life, we will not stand still. We must keep on moving. If you stay still in a place and say, I've been browbeaten, I cannot move. When you stay stationary, I tell you, it's the same thing as moving back. I'm telling you. And why do I say it? Because life does not wait for anybody. Life does not wait for anybody. And my prayer really, is that, we should get to that point where we realize that if I stop, if I halt, life is still going on around me. Life is still going on around me. And personally, like I always like to talk personally, I learned the hard way about this. And I just thank God, for his mercies that's able to, they'll say collapsing time for somebody. Because, at a point, I thought because I was you know, um, I'll call it, let me call it a mobile, air quotes. Every other person was standing. But I woke up one day and I realized that everyone had moved. And I had the choice to either stay down or begin to move. And thankfully, I was able to step back. I was able to do it on my own, but I had a circle, you know. That's something we'll talk about as we move on. We still have 16 more days to go. So I'm asking a woman today, just take a deep breath wherever you are. Try imagining, you know, this breeze just blowing out, blowing away all those thoughts, blowing away all those things, blowing them away. And you're taking the time to make the decision today that I would choose not to have a war in my head anymore. Anybody who is watching this or watch this after, that must be your take home. I know somebody might say it might not seem simple, but it is a decision. You know those decisions we take or we took when we gave our lives to Christ. Those decisions we took when we stood before a priest, a pastor, a clergyman to take our vows. Those decisions we took when we said, see, you see this exam, I must take them. Pass or fail, I must take it. That kind of decision is the kind of decision I want a woman to make today and say, I choose not to have a war in my head. Because I tell you, if you have a war currently raging in your head, there gets to a time when you are tired. You are tired. When you are saying, I choose not to have a war in my head, you are saying, my life will no longer be a war zone. My life will no longer be a war zone. No more war. It's like putting a sticker right in front of, just on your forehead here and saying, no more war. This is a no war zone. I choose not to have a war in my head anymore. And my hope is that when we are able to combat this enemy by just, considering taking the steps that have been mentioned here, you will understand without a doubt that all along the enemy you have been fighting has not been that man, that woman, that community. The enemy you've been fighting all this time has been the enemy within. I know there's a saying, you become what you consume. So what have you chosen to consume today? Have you chosen to consume moving forward, as I said? Or have you chosen to consume sitting still and let the world pass you by? Whatever choice you make, you live with it. But I urge you to make the choice of defeating that enemy between your ears today. I hope somebody has been able to do just glean something today. Yes, Twin let me just put what Sister Twin put up here, and that's true. Faith without works is dead. No matter what you do, no matter what battle strategy you pick, you must put in the work. Thank you very much, sis, for that. So tomorrow is another day, day 16. I look forward to having you. God bless you. Thank you as always for your time. Good night.